WEIRDFEELS. Weird feelings. EELS. Oh, fuck.
Do you not know how to spell?
I wrote weird feels.
Feels.
Weird feels.
Weird feels?
Man, I think I have Alzheimer's.
As possible. Oh, is your worst fear?
Where am I? Who are you? Is this weird feelings? What is this place?
It's not funny.
Why
To make fun of old people, Johnny.
I made fun of, so far I've made fun of Make-A-Wish Foundation.
You've made fun of so many things. But let's get into the... Breathe in. And...
You're feeling weird. It was weird. Weird feelings. Weird feeling.
Welcome to another episode of
Weird fucking feelings.
Weird feelings. My name is Tim.
My name is Jim.
And we're the Tim Jims. Everything's good.
You're good? Good. Feeling good.
It's still super hot.
Still super hot.
But glad to be here tonight.
Glad to be alive, living life.
Oh, yeah.
No compromise.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
zero compromise, baby.
That's the life.
So I want to talk about something. I noticed the other day you made a post.
I make a lot of posts. Which one? Is
Well,
it me
it was a
walking
post-
in the rain with emo music?
Yeah, first of all, what's up with you taking pictures of just your eyes head down?
It's just...
This is a new
It's
movement?
just my thing in the morning. It's
That's
just like,
your thing.
hey, it's a sunny day.
Okay.
It's just something I do. I don't know.
Anyway, I saw that you posted a story talking about not feeling like you are able to stop and rest.
Oh, yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like about it's like immigrant parents thing.
See what
It was
is.
a post that my buddy Narcy had posted on his story. And I was like, those are facts.
So it's a heavy relation to being a child of immigrant parents.
Yes.
And not feeling, because of that, feeling like you're not able to ever slow down and
Yeah. I think it's
Take
just
it
like a common thing, I guess, with immigrants. It's because like our parents came from, like war-torn countries, or, they came here with nothing.
Mhm.
And all they did was to provide me and my brothers, just like they didn't have time to relax. They had to, it was like survival mode. They came here, they just worked and made sure that we were fed and we were housed. That's it. And I felt like by growing up in that environment and seeing our parents just constantly work and not really resting, it kind of like came ingrained, or I don't know, just seeing it all the time.
So they're always working. They're
Always working.
always hustling. They know that they're making this, maybe not sacrifice, but they're really like doing their all to create a better
They
future for
compromise.
themselves and for you. And they're compromising.
Compromising for the better of their children.
Right. And so you see that, and so you learn, okay, the way to get by and what the right thing to do is to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's more than that too. It's also like feeling like kind of like if I'm slacking off, I feel bad because my parents didn't have time to slack off, or
Right.
wasn't able to, didn't have the luxury to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's always been like, work. Like if I don't work, that means I'm like either failing in life, either I'm like not doing enough. But then it becomes a thing where it's like, it is never enough,
Right. Would you say that you're someone who, so you don't feel like you ever slack off?
I don't think so. I think I have a mindset of working really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that mindset is because my dad worked really hard and became, I think we've spoken about it before. Like, my parents came from Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
They lost everything. Like they came from zero. Like, there was a genocide in Cambodia, and, they met at the refugee camp, and then they came here, not by choice. It was just like, that's what they were dealt with. Like that was the hand they were dealt with. And it's like, we got to go there. And then they came here, and, my dad had to study again, to go to school and work and provide, that's a lot of it's like very time consuming, but mentally too. Like, it's like,
Yeah, completely
hey, I gotta
draining.
I gotta work, but then I gotta study so I could have a better life for my kids, my wife and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that mode is so ingrained in my head. It's like I don't know. It's hard to explain a bit because it's like it's just something that I feel like I just do now. It's like I work and
Yeah, because like your parents have, let's say they've made it, they've built a life for themselves. For you, you've made your own way in life. You know, you don't have everything you want, but you have a sense of security, and you should have the time for pausing and
Yeah.
resting and
like they
you
do
know.
now. They're much older and they just chill. But like it was a point where like they didn't have a life technically in their 20s, right? They had like the family.
Mhm.
And it's not like they were going out and partying or doing a podcast like us or just
Sure.
trying to do things. You know, they were just like, hey, I have these 3 kids and I need to feed them and send them to school and dress them. And
Mhm.
like, how am I going to do? I can't just go around and just like, you know, do random stuff.
Do you think that's also amplified because you have a child as well?
Hmm.
Do you feel that same feeling that you think that they
I
felt
think
as
so.
well?
Yes. Cause it's like, yo, I gotta give my kid the best.
Yeah, you have someone to provide
You
for.
know, to get them everything, you know. Like my parents provided for me, I need to do the same, but like in a different way, you know, like a bit more like, you know, like learn from what they did. And then, you know, they you know, parenting also like the way they were parenting was different from how I'm parenting too.
Mhm.
But it's also like finding a right balance of like educating them, but not educating like a way my parents were. It's like different generations and different like eras of raising kids too.
Yeah.
So it's just more like figuring out that balance. But yeah, I do feel like I need to. I'm a provider. I need to. You know, my kid needs to go to school. Needs to new clothes every year, or you know, it needs just so that she doesn't feel like she's like missing out, or just like I want her to like have her childhood and grow up and not have to struggle, like you know, or seeing my parents struggle and then that thing. Like I'm not struggling.
Right.
I think
No, I
I don't think I'm struggling. It's not like not giving her that be like, oh man, dad is like he's always working all the time, you know. Like I find that balance too to raise. It was like my dad used to work all the time. I would never see him, and it was just like wakes up at 4 or 5, gone, comes back home, eats, goes to bed, and repeats. You know, my mom was pretty much the one like raising us most of the time. But then at some point, my mom was hustling too. She was like working at home, and then just like it was like a sweatshop on my house. You know, just
Damn.
like, you know, it was just wild. But it is what it is. I don't know. It's different growth, growing in different environments and different families. But it's like I feel like a lot of immigrants have that. It's not trauma. It's like a
Yeah, what would you call that? Is it it's not necessarily a bad thing, like having a strong work ethic and like always feeling like you want to push further and farther, but I think obviously like you're saying it can have a
toll.
a toll on
Yeah.
your life and you can't feel comfortable relaxing. So
Yeah.
maybe it is trauma, maybe it is, or it's just learned habits.
I feel like yeah, different families have different backgrounds of like why they come to like Canada or go to US. They have different reasons. Like us, it was like, you know, it's because of war. In my head, it's like it's like the worst that could have happened to my parents did not happen. They survived literally death.
Mm.
And it's like that's in my head. It's like, well, the worst that can happen is I just die, and then and then I just need to be like, well, they went through a genocide. Like, what I'm complaining about? There's no milk in my fridge, or
Right.
like I can't do that. It's just like, dude, my like mom and dad literally was eating bugs to survive, and that's it. And me like I can't just me complaining about the little things. It's like it's in my head doesn't pass. No, you can't just complain about that. Because that's why like sometimes I, as a person, when I see somebody complain or like, I don't know, white guy or white girl, or just people that are not that are from Canada or
Sure.
from the Western
People who have experienced more privilege in their life.
privilege. Yeah. I'm just like, yo, come on, shut up. Come on, you don't have fucking salad. You're it's just
Right.
like it's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
like I have zero patience for that. I'm just like, come on.
So, but going back to the thing about like the resting, and so do you ever find yourself quote unquote resting or taking it easy, or and if so, do you feel
Yeah.
guilty while you're doing it?
I don't feel no. I do rest. Like I think I do rest a lot. I'm like
Yeah, but do you think about it?
do I think about if I'm taking it easy? I think when I'm working or
Like you work a lot, you're
Yeah.
always working,
yes.
and then when you're not working, you're maybe
Let me take a time to think about
yeah,
this one.
think about this.
I don't think about it, but maybe I just do it consciously.
Like, would you consider like playing video games relaxing and resting? Or are you still in some weird way in your mind like, oh well, I'm going to win this, and so I'm working, and so
Oh,
I'm not like. Or do you
I
think that is maybe your way
no,
of?
I think it is resting or relaxing, but in my head, it's like, why am I doing this? I do think of like, I shouldn't be playing video games or watching Netflix.
Okay.
I could be just going and making music or working on my brand or researching. I do think.
Okay, so
like
that's
that.
what it is. So
Yeah.
it's not that you've been so bred into never relaxing. It's that even when you do take the much needed time to relax,
I think about that.
you're feeling guilt about it. You're thinking about like, I should be doing something else, like creating, working, like
Yeah, staying active or yeah, I think it's that. But it's also like there's the from my parents, like the work ethics segment where it's like them hustling and grinding to provide, like that's one thing.
Mhm.
And then I guess the resting is just more like, I think I'm just ambitious, right? I just want, it's never enough in my head. And you know how I am, like fucking head is just like,
Yeah, but if that has something to do, I mean, that could just be a personal trait that you have as
Yeah.
Johnny Kim.
Geminis.
But also it seems like maybe you're suggesting that part of that is also like pushed even further
Yeah.
because of your.
But I
what
do
you've experienced with
push
your
to be
parents.
like always the best version, always pushing, always moving forward, always trying to like, never sitting on my laurels, just keep moving forward,
Mhm.
But it's like, it's not just, I guess, like people have that mentality of like work culture, grinding constantly, it's not a weird question, but it's like, yes, there's elements of that in the post that I connect with and that I see like, oh, this is really something that like, it's not just me, like a lot of immigrant children from
Mhm.
with immigrant parents do have that same feeling where it's like, hey, I just need to keep working because my parents provided me all of this, and if I don't do it, then why did they even come here, kind of thing.
So, do you think that it's a bad thing? Do you think that you should be able to relax and not feel guilty about it? Or do you actually be like, no, you know what? The feelings that I'm feeling are the right feelings to have. And you know what? I shouldn't be resting. I should be working harder. I should always be doing more. What do you think?
Yeah, for like my personal, well, either personal opinion or like my
Yeah, I'm asking you.
situation, is more of like, if it feels like okay, for Cambodians, it's like the thing is like there's a lot of Cambodians out there that are from different diaspora and like that are not from Cambodia, but they're now in the U.S., in Canada, and then there's less of us, kind of thing. And what we're trying to do is push our culture in the forefront because our culture kind of like died at some point where they try to, the story, they try to
Yeah.
abolish everything.
Okay.
And we feel that we need to bring that back. That's why we kind of work harder, try to represent us a lot more.
Yeah.
Even in our food, in the things we do, music, video, film, whatever. I feel like that's in a lot of my people's mind that are, that are not born in Cambodia, that are just Cambodians in outside of Cambodia. Like we
Right.
want, and then we want to share our parents' culture, that what they lost, like they kind of like they left their homeland
Mhm.
to make a new life in a foreign land. So we want to keep that going. And that's why we just try to, we try to hustle that and try to put it in as many people's faces, just like,
But that's your reasoning. That's your reasoning as to why maybe you work so hard and you push so hard.
yeah, I want to be like,
But what I want to know is, and you didn't answer my question, is
I will never answer your question.
do you think that you should be able to relax?
I think everybody should be able to relax.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
interesting. And
You need
curious.
to relax. I don't know. You can't just be
Right, so you don't feel like you should
Like,
feel
you need
guilty
to-
during
yeah.
that. So
smoke some weed and just relax. Take a step back.
So my next question is, how do you think you would overcome that feeling of like, all right, I'm resting, but in the back of your head, you're like, I should be pushing the culture more. I should be working on, my art. I should
Yeah.
be doing more. How do you overcome that?
How do I overcome that?
It's a big question,
Yeah,
but
I just cloud it with weed.
or I'm asking maybe what do you think could, like, I don't know, like talking to your parents, like having that discussion about like, hey, what do you think, or is it a personal thing where you just accept it and you push
I just
the
kind of
feelings away?
I kind of
or-
accept it at this point. Like my mom's always like, "Oh, just be glad you're working." Like that's the thing. It's like at least you're working. Like sometimes I would like either like complain, be like, oh man, I've been working so much.
Mm.
It's like, yo, just be glad that you're working.
That's funny. That's exactly the same thing that my dad says.
It's just I'm just like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is
like-
kind of
it's
true.
like-
It's like what? Like you're tired. Okay.
I feel like that's also like, obviously, I mean, my dad is an immigrant, but in a completely different scenario. I mean, he's from Australia. Chosa came here,
Yeah.
completely different. But I do feel like it's a older generation thing to be like,
I feel that
look,
yeah,
just be lucky that you have work.
it's true. I feel like
Right.
the old folks are just, it's older generation and they're just
Yeah.
like, well, I used to be
Oh, watch out now.
I used to be digging trenches, World War II.
I mean, yeah, pretty fucking terrible.
Like I feel like there was a lot, like we have a lot more at our disposal right now.
Mhm.
Is that the word, disposal? Yeah.
Yep.
Like we have so much resources. People are more aware of things. People are more what's that word?
Socially conscious.
Yeah, socially conscious, considerate, or
Yeah.
people are just more aware,
Mhm.
of things, and they understand that people can't just work the old ways of just like, hey,
I mean,
gotta
the old way of working is to be lucky you have a job and like
just work. Yeah.
work yourself into the ground, no matter what it all costs. Nowadays, it's more realization of like, oh, mental health is important,
Yeah.
and physical health is important, and resting is important, and finding a work-life balance is extremely important. So,
Yeah. Like, for example, like you mentioned mental health. Like, let's say in the Asian community or even just Cambodian, like we didn't have those resources. Like, they went through war and like post-war when they come here,
Mhm.
there was no like, oh, let's talk about your trauma and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, we're the one that's like the trauma of the parents are carried upon us, like our generation kind of thing. So like now we have all those resources and we can rely on them and do that. But they didn't have that. They were just like, hey, there was shit happen at home and I need to make shit happen here with this new place, like learning how to adapt. I could show you like these videos of like the refugee camps in Cambodia where they show people like, this is a toilet, this is a fridge, this is a telephone, this is what you do, like manners. There's like videos of that, of like, this is how you behave in this,
In, like
westernized
Oh,
countries. Like,
my
like we
God.
could put a clip. It's like there's like that. It's like, and then you see like Kamon's like, oh, what the fuck is this? It's laughing. This
my
is a
God.
toilet. It flushes.
right.
It's like
So
all
bizarre.
new.
Um,
I don't know.
No. So it was super interesting.
Yeah.
So like, you're saying your parents haven't had the ability, or, they didn't have the resources back then for therapy, mental health, all that stuff. Do you think that your parents have dealt with their own trauma from all that stuff? Do they ever talk about it? Do you talk about it with them?
No, I think it's just more of like a thing people just like, it happened, we're alive,
And that's it.
and that's it. Like, yeah, they would, but it's like,
Would you be interested in talking about it with them?
I do sometimes, but it's just
Probably hard to get it.
it's
out of
hard, but
them.
it's also because it's like weird. It's like, oh, why is Johnny talking about feelings, little bitch? But I was like, he's a bitch, you dumb bitch.
Right. They don't- and that's how you first started being named a dumb bitch.
Dumb bitch. No, I feel like my dad has that. My dad's just, he's the ultimate weird feelings king.
he just has this constant weird. Yeah, but he doesn't like talking about his feelings.
Yeah, it's just like, what do you
But
think?
that's what we're all about.
It's like, hey, dad, what happened? It's like, it's war.
Hmm.
And it's like laughs it off and walks away. Like, what the fuck? It's like you went through like fucking dead bodies, and you're like, just gonna
Oh,
drink my
God,
beer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not easy stuff to talk about, right?
I guess, yeah. It's like I'm not gonna try to like bring him flashbacks or like PTSD.
Sure, yeah.
Fuck. Like he went through Vietnam War and then went through the Cambodian genocide back to back.
Yeah, back to back.
That's insane. It's like, fuck. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah, not an easy thing to talk about.
It's like, hey, I went to
Bring
World
up.
War One, the Korean War, World War II, all those wars. I mean, all the wars, toy wars,
Yeah,
Star
crazy.
Wars. So all the wars.
Um,
And it's just like, it's not touchy. It's just more like, you know what? He looks fine. He's dealing with it.
yeah, I dealt with it. in
And it's
his
like,
own way.
but I do sometimes ask questions about, how was it before the war, or how was it, and they just talk about it and just have a conversation, and then that's it.
Hmm.
You just got to be present for them. And I don't know.
It's really tough, I think, in your specific scenario. I think in general as well for everyone, like let's say of our generation and maybe a little bit younger, a lot of our parents generation was a generation where they didn't, like you said, they didn't talk about their feelings. It was frowned upon to share their feelings, to like seek help about mental health. And I think so many people in our generation have had to deal with the fallout of that.
Yeah.
Like having to deal with your parents' trauma because they never dealt with it. Not to like, knock your parents or anyone's parents. That's just the society that they grew up in the time. It wasn't like the norm to do it. So
yeah, different times.
A lot of people, I see it in my dad as well. Like he's okay to talk about feelings and emotions, but he has no ability to talk about like accountability or to deal with his emotions. He can talk about emotions, but it's really hard for him to be accountable for things and admit that, he could be wrong or that there could be, anything that he might have done wrong is really hard for him to.
Yeah.
He'd rather just like move on and ignore it.
It's like that, that Clint Eastwood character is just like grunts and just like frowns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many people listening right now have parents who like, maybe they had trauma from their parents and they passed on, they couldn't figure out their own emotions. And so they either took it out on you, one way or the other, whether it be emotionally, physically. I'm sure a lot of parents have,
Yeah.
fucked up their kids. And again, I'm not saying this. I know that we're talking a lot about your specific scenario with, being a child of immigrants and, we're kind of diverging here, but
Yeah. But to add to that, it's also like, okay, so my parents come here, they had nothing, they rebuilt everything from scratch.
mm-hmm,
And that part is like, like I said, ingrained, like, oh shit, they hustled, they got out.
mm-hmm.
But then it's also the mindset of like knowing that people in Canada or the US live in a society or a place where there's democracy and there is resources for them to not be, there's aid. And then to see, I don't know, there's something even like you have a better situation kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you shouldn't be struggling. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's like
they're like, look, we brought you to a place that is better situation. You have all the help that you can have. You have it way better than we've ever had it.
like you've grown up here. Like
you should be
fine.
That's interesting. Because I would say like we're in just because we have access to everything, all the resources, help, we have undeniably better than your parents had it, right? But your problems are your problems and you live in the time that you live in, right? Like, you could be a homeless person on the street and you have, you're looking for shelter and food and all those things. And those are your problems. They're very real and it's a pretty terrible situation, right?
Yes.
You could also be like a billionaire and have everything that you technically need, but you're still going to have bad days. You're still going to have moments of sadness. You're still going to run into issues. You have the issues that you have, and you're human, and they're just as important to you and meaningful as anyone else's, right?
Yes. I agree.
So yeah, I don't know if it's fair for like older generations to put it on their children to, just because you have it all means that you need to, not ever be upset or with anything, or like, look, you're human. You're going to deal with things the way that you deal with them. You're going to be upset. Yeah, you have access to mental health things and you have good health care and you have like, stable life and there isn't war and these are all true things.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I think on paper, technically it's like, yes, you have everything, but yeah, people shouldn't be putting it on us to like, carry that and be like, oh, well, I should just keep my feelings to myself, because they'll be like, back in my day.
Well, because then you'll just be perpetuating the same thing.
Yeah, it just keeps repeating. But I think we should be taking advantage of all these resources. We will cover a lot of subjects in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Everything and nothing. Whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of everything. On that note, if you're still watching this podcast, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad, to your grandparents, grandparents, all the parents, all the children, everyone. Weird feelings, children. We'll find out after. Imagine nothing is recorded. It would be just the worst. That would suck.
Oh, you're feeling weird. It was